Let's go.
Party back!
Shoot the cocksucker in the first place.
Let's go, fellas.
Go upstairs.
All the way back to the floor.
Yeah, let's go back.
Anybody there?
Lieutenant, you and your colleague walked up to that bank rather heroically, and tell us what happened when you talked to the man inside.
We spoke to him. He was rather excited. He realizes he's stymied. He's making demands for an escape route. The problem with the demand for the escape route is that he wants to take the hostages with him at this time.
All of them?
All of them.
And what does he want in exchange? Does he want his lover?
He did, and he does. We have his wife here.
That was the reason for releasing the guard.
That was the way we got one guard out, just on that bargain to let him talk on the telephone. The wife is right across the street, but refuses to go near him. She believes John to be unstable and will kill him.
That's his current wife, is it not?
We believe so.
Well, I believe so, unless he has 3 or 4.
What were you talking about over there all that time you were wrangling outside?
Talking where, sir?
In front of the bank.
Well, things like taking guns off and not making any grabs for them, and what we could do and try and work something out to get those hostages out of there.
What did you work out?
We worked out that he released the bank guard, and we would bring his wife, his homosexual wife, to the door to speak to him.
You didn't do that, is that correct?
He refuses to go to the door. He spoke to him by telephone, and he refuses to go to the door. He's afraid he'll be shot.
So where do we stand right now in this bargain, and what's the trade-off? What's the deal?
Who is Pat Capova?
I don't know.
Who was the first person that was brought over to the bank?
Brought over to the bank?
Oh, that was another homosexual friend.
Has he told you, has he threatened you with any line of action should you not concede to these demands?
Not as
Nor
of
any
yet.
deadline.
No deadline's been set either.
But his action outside that bank at the door was very hostile.
Well,
I would
very
say
excited.
so. He's excited.
Do you feel at any given time he was ready to shoot?
There's that
possible.
potential.
How have the hostages been treated?
The plan is being worked out by high police authorities right now.
When you went to talk to him?
You willing to wait him out?
We had a discussion about the gun.
I'm not sure what they're planning right now.
Yes, put it on the floor.
Wants us to, we'll be happy
He wants,
to.
no
Does
problem.
he plan to commandeer that airplane?
We don't know.
Weapon, shotgun?
One man has a shotgun.
The guy in the back had
What
a
is your
shotgun.
impression of how rational or irrational this man is?
He's very emotional at the present time.
Weren't you taking an awful chance? You two walking in there?
We had to get the hostages out, or at least had to try to get the hostages out.
How have the hostages been treated?
I spoke to 2 of them. They're scared, but they're well. I think they've been treated as well as hostages can be treated.
No.
Not that we know of.
Have there been any threats against the hostages?
Not that we know of.
Her
try and talk. Not that we know of.
She has talked
Only
to
one
him.
or two.
Two hostages
She has
I spoke
talked
to. There was no threats to those two.
And that's one of the sticking points. He wants her to be or him to be forced to accompany this escape route or plan. She's refused, or he has refused, under threat of. She feels her life is in danger. She feels his life is in danger.
Has he said where he wants to escape to?
No.
No, he hasn't said that.
Is he hard in fact?
We feel we may be able to work something out with that, too.
Any relaxation of that?
Everybody's considering it, and what necessary arrangements and necessary risks that are involved to the hostages.
Who was the first person that was
State the
brought over?
transaction once again, so it'll be crystal clear as to
His
what the
demand,
deal is.
transportation, a car. All hostages to be in the car, and he to be allowed free progress to Kennedy Airport, where an airplane will be waiting for him and his other perpetrator. And he still demands that his homosexual lover be forced or to go with him.
Just a minute.
No, but we diverted the weapons, so there was no
Yeah.
danger.
Yeah, they were departing the limousine, and then the weapons were diverted away from them so that they'd be assured there'd be no danger.
Where was the plane supposedly going to go to, Mr. Malone?
We don't know.
Who ordered the plane, Mr. Malone? Who ordered the plane, Mr. Malone?
Ordered the plane.
That's a jet from Westchester County.
We've just gone through 12 or 13 hours of a different type of almost, I don't want to use the word hijacking, but a different type of hostage holding.
Yes.
What conclusions do you draw from this as to this type of crime? Is this a one-shot thing or?
Well, it's hard to tell. I could say it's a one-shot thing, and then we can have one each day for the next week. So I'd rather not make any prediction or
Mr.
form
Malone, I
any
assume
judgment
the
on
money
that.
was recovered.
Oh, yes.
How much money was involved?
How much? We don't know. We haven't counted it yet.
Mr. Malone, would you talk to that gentleman who was standing in front of the bank? If I'm not mistaken, you were standing in front of the bank
What
several
were you
times. Could I
talking
ask you
to
a
him
couple of
about?
questions about what was it like standing in front of the bank, looking, into the shotgun? Would you please address yourself to that?
Well, it was to the point that we were attempting to negotiate, and we did negotiate with the two bank robbers in the bank. And this is part of law enforcement, irrespective of what phase we might be involved in.
Was
consideration ever given to trying to shoot the
what
gunman
they
before? Was it not done then? There seemed to be plenty of opportunities.
Opportunity did not present itself.
Would you have to get both
Safe
of them
conditions.
at the
Pardon?
same time? Would you have had to get both of them at the same time? Is that why the opportunity did not present itself?
That's substantially correct.
Well, there were a number of options throughout the entire investigation, and all of those options were examined each time they presented themselves. And we took the first opportunity we could to control the situation, which, as it happened, turned out here.
Would you want one of you describe the physical setup, how far away the agent was who shot, what his position was, where he was, how far away, and so on?
Well, he was pretty close to him.
Yes.
Was it the man who drove
How
out to the
close and
airport who
where?
did the
Let's get
shooting?
this- let's get
It
this
was the
answered
agent who
first.
drove the limousine who did the shooting. Is that correct?
How close and where was he?
Yes, he was the agent who drove the limousine. His identity as an agent was known to the subjects. He was immediately in the immediate vicinity of them.
But had he not been frisked before they left? Didn't I see that one of the
In the
gunmen
car.
frisk him?
Yes, you did.
Was it the gunman?
In other words, he had a small weapon that avoided
It was a man who drove.
How did he get the frisk?
That's something that's
a trade secret.
Mr. Morris,
Lou, let's wait a minute. Lou, do you have any statement you'd like to make? And I want to, at this time, express our...
with Mr. Baker on every step of the proceedings. From its inception,
Things changed. Could you give us?
time they wanted to ride out in FBI cars, and then they wanted to, that's the method that we used to bring them out here.
What was your reaction to seeing all the
unstable
money
then? Do you
thrown
feel
out
they
after
were
the pizzas were
unstable in
delivered?
this?
When they threw out all that money, what was your reaction?
What was my reaction? I thought they were being very kind and paying for their supper.
Chief, did you feel there was an instability here? They just didn't know what they wanted to do?
Well, I don't think anybody that gets themselves involved in a situation such as
Well,
that
they
is
were
exactly the stable
starting
type.
out. One time.
Yeah.
The press, I just want to make a brief announcement that the bank robbery that started this afternoon at 3 o'clock over in Brooklyn was culminated just a short time ago out on the airstrip by the shooting of one of the subjects, and the other one gave up. And the culmination of the matter was as a result of carefully laid plans by Mr. Baker, who is the #1 special agent in charge of the New York office, Mr. Fell in charge of the criminal division, Lou Cattell, Chief Lou Cattell of the police department, and Bob Morris of the United States Attorney's office was on hand in case that negotiations were necessary, and he took part over at the bank. So I might say that the successful conclusion of the case was actually the result of gigantic efforts on the part of all these people that you see represented here. And we hope that this will serve as a deterrent for that they were safe.
Was this on the way to the runway?
How far away was
the shark?
The other
Yes.
two inside?
Yeah. Well, pardon, just a minute.
No, we diverted the weapons.
Yeah, yeah. They were departing the limousine, and then the weapons were diverted away from them so that they'd be assured there'd be no danger.
Where was the plane supposedly going to go to, Mr. Malone?
Don't know.
Who ordered the plane, Mr. Malone? Who ordered the plane, Mr. Malone?
Ordered the plane.
Yeah, that's a jet from Westchester County. Who
We
ordered
ordered
the
the
plane?
plane.
The FBI ordered the
You
plane.
ordered the plane?
The FBI.
From whom?
Can you tell us which agent shot the
we
gunman?
cannot give his
Can you
name.
tell us the gunman that was shot? Can you identify him?
We do not know the names for sure. We have names, but we'd rather not give them out until we're sure that they've been identified. And you remember over at the bank, there was one coming out negotiating, and then the other one stayed inside. There was one that stayed inside that was shot.
It was not Mr. Wojtowicz. It was not the man who identified himself as
gave up,
Mr.
right?
Wojtowicz.
Big John gave up, Mr. Malone.
Pardon?
Big John, John.
Yeah, call him anything you want, but he's the one that gave up. Yes.
Mr. Malone, what about we've just gone through 12 or 13 hours of a different type of almost, I don't want to use the word hijacking, but a different type of hostage holding.
Yes.
What conclusions do you draw from this as to this type of crime? Is this a one-shot thing or
Well, it's hard to tell. I could say it's a one-shot thing, and then we can have one each day for the next week. So I'd rather not make any predictions.
Well, Mr. Malone, I assume the money was recovered?
Oh, yes.
How much money was involved?
How much? We don't know. We haven't counted it.
All right, the man that was shot, where...
You were standing in front of the bank, if I'm not mistaken, you were standing in front of the bank
What were you
several times.
talking to him about?
Question about what was it like standing in front of the bank looking, into the shotgun? Would you please address yourself to that?
Could you move over in front of the mics?
It was to the point that we were attempting to negotiate, and we did negotiate with the two bank robbers in the bank. And this is part of law enforcement, irrespective of what phase we might be involved.
Was consideration ever given to trying to shoot the gunman before they left the bank?
Oh, consideration was given to shoot them at any first opportunity that presented itself.
Why was it not done? And there seemed to be plenty of opportunity.
Opportunity did not present itself.
Did you have to get both of them at the
Pardon?
same time? Would you have had to get both of them at the same time? Is that why the opportunity did not present itself?
That's substantially correct.
Well, there were a number of options throughout the entire investigation, and all of those options were examined each time they presented themselves. And we took the first opportunity we could to control the situation, which, as it happened, turned out right here.
Would one of you describe the physical setup, how far away the agent was who shot, what his position was, where he was, how far away, and so on?
Well, he was pretty close to him.
Yes.
Was it the man who drove
How
the
close and
airport
where?
who did the
Let's get
shooting?
this- let's get
It
this
was the
answered
agent who
first.
drove the limousine who did the shooting. Is that correct?
How close and where was he?
Yes, he was the agent who drove the limousine. His identity as an agent was known at the time. He was in the immediate vicinity of it.
But had he not been frisked before they left? Didn't I see that one of the gunmen frisked him?
In the car.
Yes, you did.
Was it the gunman?
In other
was
words,
it
he
the
had
man
a
who
small
drove,
weapon
or was
that
it a different
avoided
man?
it. It was a man who drove.
Then how did he get the gun?
That's something I can't really say.
Well, now, wait a minute, the agent...
Wait a minute. Lou, do you have any statement you'd like to make? And I want to, at this time, express our gratitude to the police department for the cooperation and the support they gave us right from the beginning, right to the finish out here. And of course, as you know, Chief Lou Cattell was in charge.
And let me just say something before he does, because in modesty, he will not acknowledge that he was a part of the apprehension team, which he was, because he was right at my side when we jumped the second one.
Chief Cattell, could you give us some idea of what the plans were that New York police were following during these past 13 hours?
We were working closely. Hey,
Move it a little closer, if you will, to the microphone. Thank you, sir.
We were working in close unison with Mr. Baker. Every step of the proceedings.
You said that many times you thought you had a deal, that is, to release the hostages, but things changed. Could you give us some idea of what took place?
Well, every time we thought we had something finalized, they changed it.
Oh, yeah.
One time they wanted to ride out FBI cars, and they wanted a helicopter brought in. Then they finally decided on the bus, and that's the we used to bring them.
Why did they change their minds so often?
They were unstable
When they threw out all that money, what was your reaction?
What was my reaction? I thought they were being very kind and paying for their sentence.
Did the two gentlemen ever indicate where they wanted to go with that
They
plane?
just didn't know what they wanted to do.
Mr. Malone, how did they get the hostages out of the wagon? Why did they let them go?
Well, they were starting out when I went on the time.
Yeah.
And did you at any time decide that you should go in with guns and possibly try and flush these men out?
In the bank? No. There was always the danger of hostages being hurt if we went into that bank.
Mr. Malone, would you again go over exactly?
We let Mr. Baker do that. He was right.
All right,
Mr.
Mr.
Baker,
would you describe, first of all, how it happened, what the passengers were doing at the time?
You're talking about the culmination
Yes.
of the...
Could you move over here, sir?
All right. At the time we came out, I think you saw us leave the bank, and we left in a convoy situation. We came into the area where we can bring planes without affecting the rest of the operation of the airport. As the Hansa jets were being taxied up, on pre-arrangement, four of us, includes Chief Patel, Mr. Fell, the agent driving, and myself, converged on the limousine. And on a prearranged silent signal, we moved and effected the apprehension and disarming of these individuals.
Weren't the hostages, though, in the limousine at the time?
The hostages, some were still in the limousine, but the weapons which the individuals used, one a shotgun, one a rifle, were diverted in such a way that even had they fired, no hostage would have in any way been in danger.
Can you
You
explain
waited then
that?
until
How
they
were
were
diverted?
clear, sir?
They were diverted by us.
In other words, you rushed them and they turned the guns
We
toward
did
you?
not have to rush them. We were talking to them at the side of
I
Would
see.
an
In other words,
agent
you
have been
attracted their
hurt,
attention.
Possibly.
I didn't hear
Would
you.
an agent have been hurt, possibly?
Not as the plan was effected. We will not undertake an operation like that unless we can be overwhelmingly secure in the belief that no injury will occur not only to a hostage, but to an agent or anybody else.
Which one of the two men was shot? Which one of the two men was shot?
I think we've already covered that. We can't identify him, but he was the man who stayed in the bank during the negotiations.
How seriously was he wounded?
I don't know that yet.
Where was he shot? Do you know that?
In the chest region.
Did he fire a shot while he was in the bank about 1 o'clock this morning?
Not he, I think the other.
It was a shot fired, and
Yes.
what was the reason for that?
We'll have yet to determine.
You heard a noise or something?
Yes,
Mr.
perhaps.
Baker, what were you talking about with this man when you heard the
I don't recall what the conversation was, but it was an innocuous conversation that gave us a reason to be talking to them.
wanted to go?
No, that was never stated.
They never told you where they wanted to take off?
No, we didn't have no idea.
And you were just talking to them, and during this time, you took advantage of an opening and...
On a
diverted them.
prearranged signal.
Have
yes.
you spoken to the survivor yet? The
Pardon?
surviving
I
bank
have
robber?
not.
Has anyone? Is he being interrogated
That
now?
would be handled elsewhere at the present time. All right.
Mr. Morris, Mr. Morris,
Mr. Morris, what were you talking about? Legal
when you were
ramifications of
talking to
this,
the
sir?
one man, how did he impress you?
Well, it was quite obvious that he was in the process of what we know as ventilation. He was constantly speaking concerning a great number of things, all in a chain together, and it was necessary, I think, to gain his confidence and to have him continue to speak.
Did he say anything about the man who wouldn't come out? Did he say...
I'm not going to discuss what was said. with respect
Did you
to
then
subject matter.
negotiate, sir, some terms, some sort of a deal in terms of either penalty or sentence for these men?
I can't answer that now. I can only say there were some discussions which did not come to fruition.
Okay, I think that'll be. One other thing I